Alright, let's get this stream going. We need to let the Discord know that we're live. As always, that is the first thing we do. Let's see here. Okay. And now let's get the comments pulled up. Alright, here we go. We got the comments pulled up. We let the Discord know we should be all good. I believe we are good. We are. What is up, everybody? Wonderbro here with Vacay Fear. What's up, PJ? What's up, Craig? Good evening, lovely. Good evening. How are you doing? How is everyone today? I just woke up not long ago. Not long ago, so I'm still in that awkward stage where I'm trying to get fully aware and awake. But you know, what better way to do that than with a stream? What better way to do that? Understandable, Craig. Well, you're in the right place. You are in the right place. But always remember, as you're moving forward, to drop your fight against those thoughts and feelings. Let them say and do whatever they want to do. This is the ultimate goal, right? The ultimate goal of acceptance. Rewiring the brain, proving to the brain that there is no real danger. All right, guys. As always, we'll give it a few minutes. Let some people who want to watch us live get in here. Let's go ahead and drop that Discord link for the day in the chat if anybody is interested in joining us over on the Discord. The link will be there in just a second. There it is. Keep in mind, Discord's completely free, guys. You just have to make an account. Yo, Wonder Bro, the man. What's up, dude? How you doing, Visuals? Welcome to the stream, my guy. We're going to get going in just a bit. Sit back, relax. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I actually remembered to get some music going today. So there's that. I normally always forget that. Thanks for the help. No problem. No problem, Kenneth. It's what I'm here for, man. I've been where you guys are, so I know how it feels. What's up, D Block? Welcome to the stream, dude. One second, guys. One moment. I'm getting a phone call. I'll be right back. Alright guys, so this stream is going to be a little bit later than usual. We're going to keep it here on the starting soon, but we are going to start in about 5 to 6 minutes, right? Because I got to do something really quick, so I'm sorry, I apologize for the delay, but we are going to get going. The stream is still going to happen. It's just going to be a few minutes late, so stay in there, okay? Hang in there. I'm in my van using my smartphone. Well, we are gonna get going. The stream is still gonna happen. It's just gonna be a little bit late, a few minutes late. So I will be right back, guys. Hang in there. Be patient. The stream is still happening, and I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, there was no sound. I had to take care of something real quick, but we're back. All right. Let's get situated here. Let's get situated here, and then we can get on with the point of the stream. Let's see. All right. While I was gone, I did have a $10 tip from Craig. Craig, thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Let's see here. Get this pulled up. Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Danny. Should just be a reminder not to engage. All right, let's see. You can use the word ignore, PJ. I just don't use the word ignore that often because it kind of implies non-acceptance. And to some people, ignore means to distract. But we're not trying. But to me, there's a huge difference between the word ignore and distract. Distract is trying to push your feelings and thoughts away, whereas ignore is to just accept them and move on with your day, which is obviously what we want to do. But I just don't use the term ignore a lot because some people do get that term confused with distraction. It's completely different. To distract kind of implies that you're trying to push your thoughts and feelings away rather than accept and embrace them. So I tend to just use the word acceptance rather than ignore, if that makes sense. All right, guys, let's get this main point of the stream started. I apologize for the delay. Wow, that is really dark. There we go. I apologize for the delay. Right as I was about to start the stream, I had to go take care of something real quick. So we're getting a late start today, but that's fine because that's why we have the slides. See, the slides are brilliant. So for the people that want to watch this in the future, they don't have to wait around for 15 minutes. They can click around and figure out exactly where they are. Yeah, basically, PJ. Alright, guys, so the point of today's stream, treat your negative, intrusive thoughts like a story from a child. Now, we've all been there. I'm sure you've all been there, and if you haven't, we're going to talk about it. How many people in chat can say that they've been around their little niece or nephew or little brother or little sister or, you know, whatever the case may be, how many people can say in chat that they've been around a small child before, and you know how small children are? They want to tell you stories, and you know these stories are just complete bullshit. You know, that's what a child does. They have this very vivid, wild imagination, and they like to project it, and they like to tell you stories that you know are just completely crazy, obviously. Right, and then sometimes they tell you stories that are just downright irrational. Maybe they're not completely crazy, but they are at the very least irrational or exaggerated, right? That's what a child does. They love to exaggerate. So, how many people in chat can relate to that, right? What happens is when you get around a small child who wants to tell you a crazy or at the very least irrational story, what do you do? What do you do, chat? What do you do in that moment? Do you look at the child and do you say, "You're not right. You're not right. No, I want you to stop talking. Shut up. Shut up." Do you do that? No, nobody does that. What you do when you hear a crazy or at the very least irrational story from a child is you sit there and you allow it. You embrace it. You don't look at the child and say, "Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up." You don't look at the child and say, "Go away, go away, go away, go away, go away." Because if you did that, everybody else in the room is going to look at you and say, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Right? So you never do that. What you do when a small child tells you a crazy or irrational story is you sit there, you allow it, you accept it, and you embrace it. You don't want to hurt their feelings, right? You don't tell them to shut up, you don't tell them to go away. You simply sit there, you allow it, and accept it, but you keep in the back of the mind the whole time that this is basically laughable, right? You just go with it. You laugh about it, right? You don't tell the child to shut up. You don't kick them out of the room. Nobody does that. So When it comes to your crazy or at the very least irrational thoughts from your mind, you do the same thing. You treat it the same way. You don't try to tell it to shut up. You don't try to kick it out of the room, right? Because this is just going to upset it. Just like you would upset the child if you told the child to shut up or get out of the room or try to run away from the child. That is just odd behavior that nobody does, right? So the same thing is going to happen with your mind and your thoughts. If you show them fear, right? If you show them some sort of shut up, get away, go away, try to force it out, right? You're just going to upset the mind just like you would upset the child that is trying to tell you a crazy or irrational story. So you need to treat the mind in the same way, right? Unless you want to upset the mind, unless you want to anger the mind, right? You would not try to force it out. You would not try to tell it to shut up. You would treat it at the same as you would a child telling you an irrational or crazy story. You would completely embrace it. You would completely accept it. But in the back of the mind, you remind yourself there's no need to get involved with this. There's no need to try to kick the kid out of the room. There's no need to get in the kid's face and tell him to shut up. It's just a kid talking about these crazy irrational or stories. You wouldn't try to do anything about it. You would just remind yourself in the back of the mind, just accept it, embrace it, go with it. He'll be quiet soon. She'll be quiet soon, right? So, in the same way, this is how we should treat our irrational thoughts. Now, a lot of people, and you're probably sick of hearing it by now because I have been stressing it rather frequently here on the channel here lately. A lot of people, when they hear us say, leave your negative thoughts alone, leave your thoughts alone, don't follow them, some people get confused. Maybe not a lot of people, but some people get confused and they think we mean to shut your thoughts down, to tell them to shut up, to tell them to go away. We're simply reminding ourselves to leave them alone. We're reminding ourselves to not fight. Because anytime we fight with a thought or a feeling, we are telling the brain that there's some real danger. So what does the brain do when it thinks there's a real danger based on what we're doing? It gives us anxiety to try to protect us. So whether you want to call it floating or acceptance or not adding second fear or the two main keys, leave your thoughts alone, and positive accepting behaviors, just live your life, whatever you want to call it, it all comes down to not fighting your thoughts and feelings, right? That way your brain will stop assuming that there's a real danger. Because if a brain sees a fight, whether that fight is with your thoughts or whether that fight is with your feelings, the brain is going to assume that there is a real danger. That is why we say physically, how do you accept the feelings? Positive accepting behaviors. Don't reach for the coping methods. Don't reach for Google. This is how you physically accept the physical symptoms. How do you mentally accept the mental symptoms, such as the thoughts? You would treat them like a child. You accept and embrace them just like you would the physical feelings and stop fighting. So, at the end of the day, it all comes back to, not fighting your thoughts and feelings. But there is a handful of people out there who thinks we need to treat the mind as some sort of villain and try to shut these thoughts down. But that in itself is still a fight, right? So when we say leave your thoughts alone, we literally mean let them do whatever they want to do. Just embrace and accept them. As the title of this stream says, treat them like an annoying story from a child, a crazy story from a child, an irrational story from a child. Again, if you've got a small child telling you some sort of story, on the inside you might feel a bit frustrated. On the inside you might not want to be there. On the inside you might feel a number of ways, but you would never look at the kid and say shut up. You would never look at the kid and say get out of the room. You would never do any of these things despite what you're feeling on the inside. You would just completely accept and embrace whatever the kid is saying. But you would never go to the lengths of telling the kid to shut up. You would never go to the extremes of telling the kid to get out of the room, despite what you might be feeling on the inside, even if you're feeling a bit frustrated on the inside, because let's face it, after a while, if you sit there long enough and listen to this kid, you might get a bit frustrated. You might get a bit annoyed. But despite all that, you still never look the kid in the eye and say shut up. You still never look the kid in the eye and say get the hell out of the room. You don't try to do these things because you know that it's going to upset this kid, right? So you don't do that. So when your niece or your nephew's telling you crazy irrational stories, even if you feel a bit frustrated on the inside, even if you feel a number of ways on the inside, you never go to those extremes. You simply embrace and accept these stories because eventually the kid is going to get quiet. Eventually the kid will go away. Eventually the kid will get bored with telling you these stories. So in the same way, we have to treat our mind in this way. Because if we fight with our mind, we fuel the mind. And if we fight with our mind, we tell the brain that there's a danger, right? So I love examples. You guys I know I love examples. Sorry, I'm burpy for some reason. So let's say I'm sitting here and I have a thought. I'm going to use a very generic one. I try to use generic ones, but you can apply this to whatever your thoughts are. I have a thought that says, I might go crazy, or I have a thought that says, what about my future? Or I have some sort of intrusive negative thought, right? Most people in that moment are going to try to shut that immediately down. Most people in that moment are going to try to fight with that immediately, right? And this is going to fuel the mind. This is going to tell the brain that there's a danger because a fight is a fight, right? If you're trying to shut a thought down, this is a fight. If you're trying to force it away, this is a fight. If you're trying to speak over top of it, this is a fight. Your reminder is to not fight. Your reminder is to not shut down. Your reminder is to not fight. So when these thoughts come, you could simply say something to yourself like, okay, sure, sure. Just like you would with the small child. As the small child's going on, despite what you might feel on the inside, you just say, oh, okay, sure, okay, all right, sure, sure. You don't try to shut the child up. You just say, okay, sure, okay, all right. You can be there. It's kind of frustrating. I feel a little bit frustrated on the inside, maybe a bit anxious, right? Or maybe a lot anxious if you're severely sensitized. But okay, sure. Sure, I'm not going to try to fight with that. I'm not going to try to force that out. So that's what we mean. If you need a reminder, that's what we're talking about. We're not telling you to try to force anything out or shut anything down. You need to embrace these thoughts just like you embrace the feelings. Because whether you're fighting with your thoughts or whether you're fighting with your feelings, a fight to the brain is a real danger, right? So at the end of the day, it all comes down to not fighting with your thoughts and not fighting with your feelings. So I wanted to give you guys this analogy today to kind of drive home the point that we are not asking you to do the impossible or the extremely stressful, which is to try to force these thoughts out. Now, keep this in mind. If you say, yeah, sure, okay, and you fully accept and embrace these thoughts as they come, they may go around and turn around and leave as quickly as they came. That is possible. So don't trick yourself into thinking, well, I said, yeah, sure, okay to this thought, and I embraced it and accepted, and it went away, so I must be forcing it out. No, you didn't force it out. You simply embraced it. You simply accepted it. You simply said you can stay if you want. You can go if you want. You didn't try to fight with it, right? So if this thought turns around and leaves as soon as you do that, don't convince yourself that you've done something wrong. That's a good thing. But at the same time, if this thought stays, if this thought is sticky, that is fine. Continue to remind yourself not to fight, but fully embrace it. Because if you fight with your feelings, your brain's going to assume a danger. If you fight with your thoughts, your brain is going to assume a danger. And that's why I wanted to give this analogy today, so that nobody gets confused and thinking that we're asking you to do the impossible, which is to shut these thoughts down or try to run from them. We're simply telling you to listen to them like you would listen to a child telling a story. You just say, yeah, sure, okay, but you're not fully invested in arguing or fighting with it. You're just embracing it like you would the feelings and thoughts. You're reminding yourself to leave it alone and just fully embrace it, right? And it can do what it wants to do. You just say, yeah, sure, okay. You don't try to fight with it, right? And that is the main point of today's stream, you guys. You guys know that I love analogies. You guys know that that's probably my favorite method of teaching, right? PJ, you already know the answer to this question, my man. You already know. You just got to get started. So PJ says, so what's a good example of fighting or trying to escape from a thought? So anything other than, yeah, sure, okay, is an example of trying to escape or fight with a thought, right? So if you're having this inner dialogue with a thought and trying to do anything about this thought, right, instead of just saying, yeah, sure, okay, I accept you, then that is an example of fighting or trying to escape from the thought, right? So your mind says, well, what's a good example of fighting or trying to escape from a thought? And then your mind says, because I'm just not getting it. I'm just not understanding it. You would simply say, yeah, sure, okay. And you would go on about your day, right? That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Now, for a lot of people, this is not exactly a comfortable experience because you are taking this quote unquote leap of faith. You're no longer trying to protect yourself from these thoughts. You're simply accepting these thoughts and feelings and saying, yeah, sure, all right, no matter what feelings they may cause, right? And for a lot of people, this does feel like a leap of faith. This does feel like a leap of faith. But the more you fight with these thoughts and feelings, the more you continue to tell your brain that there's a danger where there's not, right? So, not the most comfortable practice in the world. I'll give you that. I completely understand that. But if you want to truly rewire your brain, this is the leap of faith, so to speak, that you have to take, right? Have you read The Power of Now? It's a life changer. Yeah, I've got it. It's an excellent book. Excellent book. I actually made a post on the Facebook page about it today. All right, guys, we're heading into post stream. We're heading into post stream where we just chat, hang out, relax, see what everybody's up to. See what everybody's up to. The on the post that I made on the Facebook page today about the power now, I talked about how, you know, you can read the book if you want to, but you don't have to read the book. The power of now, being present, all these fancy terms, they simply mean to stop fighting with your thoughts, right? They simply mean to stop fighting with your thoughts. Oh, I love my analogies, PJ. I feel like they're an excellent way to try to teach. I feel like they're an excellent way to try to teach. And we also talked about the temptation. It's very tempting to get involved with these thoughts because you're like, I can make myself feel better. No, no. You might think you can make yourself feel better, but the more you fight these thoughts, the more you're telling your brain there's a problem. And that's where a lot of people get kind of choked up. That's where a lot of people kind of fall short. So you have the thought that says it's such a depressing feeling that everything seems so horrible. You would simply say, yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, sure, okay. You wouldn't add to that because if you add to that before you know it, 3 hours later, you're going to be really feeling it, right? See, this is what happens when we get involved with these thoughts about our feelings, these thoughts about our life situations, these thoughts about our past, these thoughts about our future. Context irrelevant. When we get involved in our negative thoughts, we're just fueling. We're just telling the brain that there's a problem where there's not, right? And we're just giving this energy. So I know it's very tempting. I understand that. I've been there. I know it's very tempting, and that's why it's a practice. That's why it's a practice. It's very, very tempting. Because, I mean, after all, you fight to feel better, right? I mean, I get it. That's why you're fighting. You fight your thoughts to feel better, you fight your feelings to feel better, but the more you fight, the more you tell your brain there's a real danger. And that's the problem. That's the issue. You fight to feel better, but the fight is making you worse. You fight to feel better, but you're actually accomplishing the opposite. You fight to feel better, but you're just empowering these thoughts and feelings. You fight to feel better, but you're just telling your brain that there's a danger, right? So that's where it becomes a bit tricky because I completely understand and I completely get why you fight because it makes so much sense. You fight to feel better. But at the same time, the fight is what's making you feel like that because you're telling the brain that there's a problem. Dollar is what I need. I have not set my audio input capture up for the post stream. I did it for the pre-stream, not the post stream. So you guys couldn't hear that. But Julie, thank you so much for the $10 tip. Nonetheless, I truly appreciate it. Thank you guys. Seriously, can we get a shout out for Craig and Julie in the chat, please? We should always show plenty of love and gratitude to our tippers. Thank you guys so much. Truly appreciate you. Yep, exactly, Summer, and I completely understand that because that's the fall. That is the pitfall for all of us. That is why we all ended up in the sensitized boat because we felt like we needed to fight those thoughts and feelings in order to feel better because that's only human nature. That feels natural. But the more we fight these thoughts and feelings, the more we tell their brain there's a danger. And that's the cycle, right? That is the entire cycle and it's kind of like, fuck, dude, I don't like these thoughts. I don't like these feelings, so to speak. I need to fight them so that I can feel better. So that's what people start doing. But every time you fight a thought and every time you fight a feeling, in whatever way it is that you're fighting, you tell the brain, hey, there's a problem and I need your protection. So the brain says, hey, bud, you can have my protection because that's my job. Here's some anxiety to protect you against whatever you're fighting. It doesn't know that you're fighting it. So this is the very ironic cycle that people find themselves in. This is the very ironic cycle that people find themselves in. And it sucks, man. It sucks. And that's why I'm here to kind of point you out of it. That's why I'm here to kind of point you out of it and let you know, hey, I understand completely why you're fighting because you feel like shit. That's human nature to want to not feel like shit. I get it. That's why you fight. But the more you fight these thoughts and feelings, the more the brain says, danger, danger, danger. And the more thoughts and feelings you get as a result. And it's a cycle. So I get why you fight, but I'm here to tell you why the fighting is why you're still where you are. Definitely, Simon. Definitely, these habits, these protective habits, can be very strong. You know, that's why it's a practice. That's why it's a practice, man. I get it. You know, it's hard to take this leap of faith, but I'm telling you, you got to look in the mirror and ask yourself, how far has fighting gotten you? How far has this fight gotten you? Has it gotten you anywhere? Has it truly made you feel better? It might be temporary relief, but has it truly, at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, made you feel better? That's what you got to ask yourself. That's what you absolutely must ask yourself. I get it, man. I get it. There is no stronger temptation in the world than that of wanting to fight with your thoughts and feelings to feel better. I get that that feels natural to you. I get that that is your go to. I get that you feel like you will not be safe or that you'll be in some kind of trouble if you don't. I get it. I completely get it. It took me a while to say, you know what? Every thought that comes, I'm just going to say, yeah, sure, okay. And I'm just going to let it say whatever it wants to say. Every feeling that comes, I'm just going to say, yeah, sure, okay. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to continue living my life and do what I got to do, right? It took me a long time to finally get to this point where I wanted to take that, leap of faith, so to speak. So I get it. I completely get it. It's human nature to want to fight to feel good. But you have to understand, every time you fight with a thought and feeling, you're feeling worse. You don't quite realize that yet, but every time you fight with a thought and feeling, you are telling your brain, danger, 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 right? So I get it. I understand why you're in the situation that you're in because that's how I got in the sensitized boat. That's how we all got in the sensitized boat. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus because I've been there. I completely get why you do the things that you do. I understand from the bottom of my heart. But I'm here to tell you, man, if you want true lasting relief, if you want to rewire your brain, you got to go through the discomfort of giving this all up, of not fighting with your thoughts and feelings, right? And this is what floating means. This is what acceptance means. This is what not adding second fear means. This is what positive accepting behaviors means. It all comes down to not fighting with your thoughts and feelings and teaching the brain, rewiring the brain. Yeah, exactly, Jesse. That's why I said, to face the discomfort of not fighting. Don't treat acceptance like a pill. You must understand when you make the choice to dedicate to not fighting with your thoughts and feelings, so that you can rewire your brain and teach your brain there's no real danger. You're still going to have anxiety for a little while. You're still going to have these thoughts come and test you. But the more you don't fight these thoughts and feelings, the more you are retraining your brain. The more you are rewiring the brain, right? So You know, that leap of faith has to be taken, man. It has to be taken. As Dr. Claire Weeks says, be willing to think and feel whatever you feel. Whatever comes comes, right? But you're no longer fighting any of it. So I get why you do the things you do. I get why you have the bad habits that you have. It's all to try to protect yourself. It's all to try to feel better. I completely understand, guys, and I completely relate. But every time you fight with a thought and feeling, and if you notice, it always comes back to the two main keys. It always comes back to this point. Whenever you fight with a thought and feeling, you are telling your brain there's a danger where there's not, right? So, whatever you want to call it, acceptance, two main keys, floating, no second fear, positive behaviors, act how you want to feel. There's a million different ways you can word it. But all of these little techniques, it all comes back to the same thing, which is rewire your brain by not fighting with these thoughts and feelings. This is what it boils down to, right? Sorry, I had to get up to get my Dr. Pepper there. And that's fine, Summer. That's why it's a process, right? In fact, I don't think I've ever met anyone on the channel, myself included, who has said, hey, I'm going to dedicate to not fighting my thoughts and feelings no matter what they say, no matter how I feel, and then run with it and be perfect at it, right? It's definitely a learning process. It's okay if you slip. I mean, you got to give yourself some credit. You got to stop beating yourself up because I mean, look at it this way. These are habits that you've formed and have been in for a very long time. So the likelihood that you're just going to pick up not fighting your thoughts and feelings and run with it and be perfect at it every single day, probably not very high likelihood there, right? Probably not a very high likelihood of that happening. That's to be expected. Thank you for the info, but before I leave, reminder for the music. Take care, brother. Have a great rest of your day/night. Hey, visuals, I appreciate it, man. In fact, now that you mentioned that, let me go ahead and get my desktop audio working. I already did that for the starting soon, but I haven't done it for post stream yet. Where exactly do I go to do that again? Audio, yeah, there we go. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's see if that works. Okay, not quite yet. There we go. Oh, wow, that is really loud. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Sorry. That was really loud at first. Alright, so we fixed that. So anytime we get tips or anytime we play music, you guys will hear the little dancing cloud music and you'll also hear whatever I'm listening to. There we go. Thank you for that reminder. I appreciate it. What's up, Will? How you doing, man? Welcome to the stream. What's up, Peter? Welcome. Welcome. Who is the I, Wonder Bro? The I, the great witness, the awareness behind thought and feeling movement. Not the I as the person I, but the awareness behind the person. Ooh, we're getting deep. No, exactly, Summer. You don't have to be cheerful every day. You don't have to hold yourself to impossible expectations. You can still retrain your brain by not fighting with the feelings and thoughts, regardless of what mood you're in. Right? So I'm in a frustrated mood or a tired mood or a grumpy mood. I still don't have to fight with my thoughts and feelings. Therefore, I can still rewire my brain. And also, it'll help you get out of these temporary bad moods. So this is not just good anxiety advice. And I say this all the time because it's so important. This is not just good how to heal your nerves advice. This is good how to live a better life advice. Is the volume on the music alright, you guys? Should it go up? Should it go down? Let me know. If it's ever too loud or too low or whatever, just let me know. Well, that's the thing, Megan. You're trying to tackle it as, oh, I need to tackle this fear, and I need to tackle that fear, and you've got this long list of fears you need to tackle. But here's the thing, you're in a sensitized boat. If you stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings, all of these fears that you think you had, you probably won't even have after you heal. That's the thing. When you return to a calm mind and a calm body, right? There's a chance that you won't even have the fears that you think you have now because you're in an irrational, sensitized mind and body. So let's worry about tackling specific fears a little bit later on down the road. And if you still have these fears once you heal, you can tackle them, absolutely. But my point is, there's nothing wrong with tackling your fears, but let's stop fighting with our thoughts and feelings and let's make acceptance our number one priority. And then once we start to heal, we'll see if these fears even exist anymore, right? We'll see if these fears even exist anymore. Because I know once I healed, the things that I used to think that I feared, now that I was in a calm body and a rational body again, I didn't even give a shit about. Right? So there's absolutely nothing wrong with tackling your fears, but let's heal the mind and body first by focusing on not fighting with our thoughts and feelings, and then we'll see if you even care about these fears anymore. Let's see if you even care about him anymore once you're in a rational body. Yeah, Eckhart is great, Danny, but he's not for everybody because, you know, I word things differently, he words things differently, Moji word, you know, all these teachers or whatever you want to call them, we all word things differently because we're all, you know, we have our different ways of wording things. So, you know, what works for some people may not work for other people as far as the way you word things. You know, and I get it. I'll also say this, though. I wasn't a huge fan of Eckhart Tolle at first, and then it started to make more sense to me as I got deeper with my spiritual side. That's a conversation for another day. But let's keep it simple for the sensitized people out there, right? Let's keep it simple for the sensitized people out there. Stop fighting your thoughts and feelings and see what happens. And then if you want to crack open an Eckhart Tolle book later on in your life, so be it. It's a great book. The Power of Now is a great book. But if you're at that stage where you just want to keep it really, really simple, then please do that. Please do that instead, right? Yeah, no problem. No problem, Megan. That's the thing, you know, when I was severely sensitized, I thought I had all these fears I had to face. The problem was I was in a state of fighting with my thoughts and feelings and keeping myself in a sensitized mind and body. Once I healed, I didn't give a shit about half of the fears I thought I had. So when you have someone that tells you you need to face your fears, I mean, there's nothing wrong with facing your fears, but they're probably not understanding that you're just sensitized. Therefore, you have a lot of irrational fears that won't even matter to you once you heal. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So let's focus on not fighting with our thoughts and feelings and healing our body and mind, and then we'll see if you even have any of these fears once you heal. I'm going to show you guys something. We're going to switch back to the face cam for a second. Since everybody's talking about the power of now, it's funny to me, it's kind of ironic because I just got this in the mail today, this morning actually. Look what I got. Okay, it's funny to me, so many people are talking about it. Look what I got in the mail today, in the morning today. I have the paperback version, but I wanted a hardcover, so I got it right here. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Now, as I was saying, if you are severely sensitized, I highly recommend you keep it simple and just focus on not fighting your thoughts and feelings. Because essentially what Eckhart Tolle is saying when he says put your attention on the moment, just live your life and don't get so involved with these thoughts, you know, he's saying the same thing I'm saying, but in a deeper way. He's saying don't fight with your thoughts, don't fight with your feelings, just be the awareness, which is what I'm telling you. However, I put it in a little bit more of a simple way just because I understand how sensitized people are, right? I understand how sensitized people are. I understand sensitized people overthink everything. So as much as I love Eckhart Tolle and as much as I swear by this book, right? These these practices and everything that he says in his lectures and his book, it still comes back to the same thing, really, which is to stop fighting with your thoughts, to stop fighting with your feelings, to stop fueling it all, right? So essentially, it's the same thing. Essentially, it's the same thing. And I think if Eckhart was here right now, he would agree with that. Obviously, I can't speak for the man, but I'm pretty sure he would agree with that. It's essentially the same thing. These are all just little terms that are used to get you to the point to where you stop fueling the mind and body. You stop fighting with it all. But see, here's the thing, people read The Power of Now or they read whatever, and then as soon as they close the book, they go back to fighting with their thoughts because it's a leap of faith, right? They don't want to take that leap of faith. They'll read the book from front to back a million times, but as soon as they close that book, they go right back to fighting with their thoughts, right? And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, like I said, because I used to be the same exact way. You like to read the forums, you like to read the books, you like to read the streams, but the temptation to get involved with your thoughts is still something that you're getting into. Instead of just, when a thought comes saying, yeah, whatever, and when a feeling comes saying, yeah, I accept you, and a thought comes saying, yeah, I accept you too, but you're no longer fighting with any of it, right? I understand the temptation to fight is very, very strong, so you can watch the streams and read whatever book you want, but you really got to get into actually putting it into practice, right? And the only reason it takes people so long to get the hang of that is because they feel like they're going to be in some sort of trouble or danger if they stop fighting with their thoughts and feelings. I get that. That's the bluff that you're under, and it's a very strong bluff to be under, but once you take that leap of faith and really dedicate to it, you'll see. You'll see for yourself. And it's okay if that's taking you some time to get to that point. It took me some time to get to that point. It's no big deal. You will get to that point eventually. You will take that so-called leap of faith eventually. That's one reason why I do so many streams of videos, because I know how it feels. I'm trying to be your motivator. What's up, Jake? Jack? What's up? Man, I'm just vibing to this lo-fi today. The main reason I wanted a hard copy cover of The Power of Now is so that I could give it to let family read it, kind of pass it around a little bit, and let the people I'm really close to read it without it getting damaged. So I wanted a hardcover. Well, that's the thing too, Danny. Just, we don't have to let religious or spiritual views impact the teaching. Right? Because it's essentially telling you the same thing I'm telling you at the end of the day. It's all really much the same, acceptance. It's pretty much all the same at the end of the day. Whether you're reading a Dr. Claire Weeks book or an Eckhart Tolle book, or you're listening to my streams, it comes down to acceptance, rewiring the brain. And I think they'd both agree with that if they heard that statement. So you don't have to let your religious or spiritual views get into the way of the teachings. The teachings are fundamentally the same, regardless of whether you believe in this or you believe in that. There's thousands of different religions, right? And none of this should have an impact on whether or not you use the practice, because none of this practice of acceptance and not fighting with your thoughts and feelings has nothing to do with what you believe in, because there's thousands of different viewpoints out there as far as religions go. So none of this should have an impact on whether or not you want to practice this or not. And that's why a lot of times when people attempt to ask me what my standpoint on all that is as far as religion is concerned, that's why I don't really answer that question, because none of that should be relevant to whether or not you're wanting to rewire your brain. It's two totally different topics. The practice is still the same regardless of what you believe in. So it's really unimportant to even get into that kind of conversation. You could take you could take a Buddhist, and then you could take a Christian, and then you could take an atheist. You could take all these people, and they're all going to rewire their brain the same way, through acceptance and not fighting with their thoughts and feelings. So your religious viewpoint's irrelevant. Exactly, Paige. As a result, you will rewire your brain and the thoughts and feelings will fade. You will heal. But in the meantime, in the process, you're not using acceptance like a pill. You're not saying, okay, I accept these thoughts and feelings, now go away. Because this is not acceptance. If you want to teach the brain that there's not a real danger, you stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings. And as a result, in time, you will heal and these thoughts and feelings will fade. But during the actual process, you do not use acceptance like a pill. You are correct. Andrea, they probably take you to that point because there's still a lot of fighting every thought. There's still a lot of fighting every feeling. So to not fight with your thoughts and feelings means to say, okay, to your thoughts, and to say, okay, to your feelings. And I know that feels like a leap of faith. Again, I get that. You want to fight with your thoughts because you think you're protecting yourself. But every time you fight with your thoughts and feelings, you're telling the brain there's a real danger, when there's obviously not a real tiger in front of you at the moment. Absolutely, Danny. It's like I could care less if you guys are Christians, if you guys are Buddhist, if you guys are atheists. I could give two shits less what you guys want to believe in, right? That's your choice. But we're all here for the same reason, which is to rewire and retrain our brains. So, regardless of your spiritual or religious viewpoints, our brains learn the same. The atheist down the street, his brain learns the same as the Christian up the street. The Christian up the street, his brain learns the same as the Buddhist down the street, right? So that's why I really don't even get into the whole religious topic conversation thing. So I agree with you, Danny, 110%. Your mind's in protection mode, Summer. A lot of fighting with your thoughts and feelings your entire life before you even realized what you were doing. Right? And don't feel guilty for that. I mean, none of us realized what we were doing. No problem, Edward. Like I said, don't beat yourself up, dude. It's a process. No point in beating yourself up. Just keep learning, keep practicing. I know it's tempting. I know it's so tempting. Agreed, Danny. 110%. Agreed. Agreed, agreed, agreed. I know it's tempting, guys. I know it feels like a leap of faith when those thoughts come. You want to fight with them because you think you're protecting yourself if you do. But every time you fight with a thought and feeling, you're telling your brain there's a danger. And that's what it all boils down to, no matter what term you want to use. Because person B usually has a 24-hour life or death obsession going on, you'll notice that there's a lot of people out there that do worry and obsess. Thank you so much for the $5 tip. Thank you, Summer. You'll notice, PJ, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of humanity that does worry, but they don't take it to the extremes that a sensitized person does. So, like, for example, I've got people in my life that I know worry a lot, but at the same time, they're still living life, and yes, they worry a lot, but they don't take it to the extremes of 24-hour, every day, 7 days a week, conjuring up all of these, fighting all of these different thoughts, thinking all these different thoughts, and fighting with them, so forth and so on. So that's the thing. Oh yeah, we are so close to 10K. So close to 10K. Well, see, that's the thing, Dan. Eckhart Tolle's not religious in the common sense. Yeah, I agree. We are all family. Oh, I forgot to update my thing. Thank you for that, Summer. I almost forgot to update it. Oh, we're definitely the best community. I love everybody here. Everybody's so supportive of one another. I mean, don't get me wrong, we got a few shitheads, but other than that, everyone's normally very supportive of each other. Because let's face it, you're all in the same boat, right? We've all been there. We're all struggling, right? So we're here together to learn, to help you guys learn how to heal and rewire your brain. I am vibing to this lo-fi today. Lo-fi always makes me so sleepy. In like a relaxed kind of way. I haven't, Jack. I've heard about it, but I haven't actually used it. Yeah, I smoked cigarettes, PJ. In fact, I smoked way more. I started to cut back a good bit once I truly dedicated to acceptance. trying to rewire my brain. I started to cut back a good bit, but through most of my bouts of sensitization, I smoked even more than I do now. I never drink, though. I've just never been a drinker. I don't know, it's just never really been my thing. Alright, you guys, we just passed the hour mark, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I appreciate all you guys watching. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. What are we at subscriber-wise? I think we're at like 9,000. Let's see. 9,451. We are so close to being halfway to 10K, and I have you guys to thank for that. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Again, thank you so much for the love and support, and I will see you in the next stream or video. Stop fighting with your thoughts. Stop fighting with your feelings, right? You were telling your brain there's a danger when there's not. As long as it sees you fighting, it doesn't know what you're fighting. It just sees that you're fighting, so it gives you more anxiety. All right, guys, I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.